What's up, peeps? Nick Battle, aka Ninos Corner. First off, if you like this content that is coming your way, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, also get all my notifications here for the channel. And second off, folks, if you're listening to this on a podcast streaming platform, whether it is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, like, comment, subscribe, leave a 5-star review in the comment means so much, folks. But today, folks, we're going to do a HornsCorner portion of the NinosCorner, podcast, a recap of National Signing Day 1. Texas actually finished so far after the first day. Number 4 team in the country per the first signing day, per the On3 consensus. But we will talk about that here in a minute. But first off, folks, let's get into our sponsors. First sponsor, folks, is going to be by BetUS.com. You also go to BetUS.com, get 125% sign-up bonus, and get 125% sign-up bonus using the promo code NinosCorner. Again, at BetUS.com, folks, that's free money. Go to BetUS.com, get 125% sign-up bonus using the promo code NinosCorner. Second, sponsor, folks, is by Manscaped, folks. Go to Manscaped, get you 20% off and free worldwide shipping on anything on that website using the promo code NinosCorner. Again, 20% off and free worldwide shipping using the promo code NinosCorner at Manscaped.com. But folks, we're going to talk about National Signing Day 1. The Longhorns had 21 of the folks that they actually recruited, actually signed their letter of intent yesterday, folks. So really good thing. And we got 2 transfer portal, prospects as well. One from Stanford, one from Wake Forest. But we'll get into that now, folks. Let's just go ahead and let's share the screen and let's talk about all the players that Texas got and what this means. So, folks, if we're taking a look at this, honestly, Steve Sarkisian always talks about complementary football, right? So complementary football. And when he talks about complementary football, I want to bring that to the recruiting side of the house. This is complementary recruiting based upon what we got from the 2022 cycle, and we'll get into that more as well. But like I said before, Texas, the number 4 national ranked team here for the 2023 class so far, number 1 in the Big 12, a great score of 93.36 for the average of all of their recruits per the On3 consensus. And guys, On3, I think, has the perfect blend because they weighted between the 4 services, On3, 247, ESPN, and Rivals. And they do a 25% weight. So it gives you a true representation score of each candidate. So shout out to On3 for that. But first, let's first talk about the bell cow. Texas getting the number 1 player in the country in Arch Manning. Arch Manning being a 5-star plus guy. The number 1 quarterback in the country, the number 1 player in the country, has the Manning name. He's coached very well. He has a high floor and a very high ceiling as well. So coming out of New Orleans, so Texas gets the number 1 prospect in high school, offense or defense. So, of course, he's the number 1 player and offensive player in the state of Louisiana. Usually that guy goes to LSU. But having, a guy like Arch Manning to come in and be the bell cow quarterback and the bell cow person for this team just shows exactly what the first family of football thinks about Steve Sarkisian and what he is doing here in Austin, Texas. They wanted Arch Manning to be coached by Steve Sarkisian. And anybody in the country, if they got that phone call from Arch to say that he was coming, guess what? They had a spot open for him. So Arch Manning, the one thing that I liked about Arch Manning so far in this whole cycle, I listened to a podcast yesterday with Samaj Burrell, and he said that Arch was one of the guys who's always texting people on a daily basis. So behind the scenes, great leader. We've all seen it from his Instagram page and his Twitter, recruiting players to come to Texas. Even his father, Cooper Manning, saying, hey, we want Anthony Hill. We want this player, that player, but of course, Anthony Hill. And that leads me to our next player. Cooper Manning, we got the guy that you want. We got Anthony Hill, the number 1 linebacker in the country. Very good complimentary class here for the 2023 cycle. Based upon what we got last year. Last year for the 2022 cycle, only 1 real true linebacker, and that was Travell Johnson last year. So he was the linebacker in that class. This year, Texas had a very good complimentary stance when it comes to getting linebackers this year, getting 4 or 5, depending on what you want to classify some of those guys at. And so we got Anthony Hill, best linebacker in the country, number 15 guy in the country as well, number 4 or 5 guy. I'm sorry, the number 4th ranked player here in the state of Texas. Just a monster, 6'2", 6'3", 230-pound guy, already at that size in high school, has the opportunity to come in and compete day one. Losing a guy like Overshawn, who else is leaving? Tucker Dorsey's leaving. We lost Devin Richardson as well to the portal. So we got a guy like Jalen Ford who is also here. So I think the Anthony Hill Anthony Hill and his family have seen just a maturation process of a guy like Jalen Ford and see where he can fit into this PK scheme and see the coaching that has been done. And so, yes, got the number 1 linebacker in the country as well, Anthony Hill. Great complimentary season to the picks that we got last year from the 2022 cycle. Brings me down to the next person, Cedric Baxter Jr. out of Florida, folks, out of Orlando, Florida. We took 2 running backs this cycle, Cedric Baxter Jr. and Trey Wisner. Baxter Jr., the number 1 running back in the country, number 23, prospect here nationally. Already a big kid at 6'1", 6'2", 220 pounds. I had a comp for him coming out of high school. I said Todd Gurley when he was in high school. Todd Gurley was also around the same size, but one of those guys who was a monster as well, a bigger guy as well. I think he's around 210, 215 as well, coming out of high school. But the tapes were eerie similar. But man, Cedric Baxter Jr., he's going to put a lot of weight on when he gets here, and he can easily be a guy 230, 235 pounds his freshman year. He's going to play a lot, and we're going to need that. Because we're losing Bijan Robinson going to the league. We're also losing Rashawn Johnson as well. So getting a guy like Cedric Baxter to come in and to compete with reps with a Jonathan Brooks and a Jaden Blue, oh man, this is going to be a great running back room. And then you add a guy like Trey Wisner, who is kind of a do-it-all guy. And don't forget about Keelan Robinson also. So getting a guy like Cedric Baxter Jr. is outstanding to go in Florida, pull the best running back in the country. Shout out to Choice being the running back coach there and getting him to actually come into enfold here at Texas to be the running back here for this cycle. Next guy on the list, folks, is another guy, Derek Williams from Louisiana, New Iberia, Louisiana, number 3 safety here in the country, but the number 1 defensive player in the state of Louisiana. And folks, I am from Shreveport, Louisiana. I know all about the talent that comes from those areas. Talent that's in Louisiana usually goes to LSU. I mean, look at his team colors. His team colors, if you see that picture, they're purple and gold. I mean, that's how much LSU is held to such a high standard in the state. I mean, everybody loves LSU, but to go in there and pull the number 1 defensive player and the number 1 offensive player from the state is truly outstanding. Shout out to Terry Joseph for having those connections in the state because he's from the state. Blake Gideon as well, man, being the safeties coach. But folks, Derek Williams, we need a lot of help in the secondary, especially at the safety position. Losing a guy like Anthony Cook is going to hurt. Not even going to sugarcoat it. It's definitely going to hurt because Anthony Cook was one of those guys who played a little bit of everything. Play some safety, play some nickel, play some cornerback. Very smart player. He's going to be playing on Sundays, folks. But losing him, but having Jaron Thompson come in, and play well. Having Taft, he actually played well, also, but he was a walk-on who just got on scholarship, folks. We lost JD. He's in the portal. We got Crawford. He's still here. We got BJ Allen, who I'm very high on. So this room is going to be strengthened just by Derek Williams, getting there. But at safety, I think this team is still going to need just a little bit of help at safety. Maybe this is a position, safety or cornerback, that this staff goes out and tries to plug and play with some more folks from the portal. But getting Derek Williams, man, this is an awesome pickup for Texas at the safety position. He's a guy who knows, he might have the potential to also come in here because I think he's an early enrollee. And I think Derek Williams, if that is the case, he's going to have the opportunity to compete for some playing time as well. Him, BJ Allen, Taft, and Crawford and Thompson, to see who are going to be the 2 top safeties here for this team. The next guy on the list, folks, is wide receivers. We got a couple of them on here. We got Jonte Cook, the second. The number 8th ranked wide receiver in the country, number sixth ranked player in the state, number 45 ranked player here in the country as well. Jonte Cook, guys, he is a hell of a route runner. He's a dog. He is a dog when it comes to being a wide receiver. I love watching him play because he has that attitude. He has that diva in him that you want, man. I'm telling you, wide receivers are some of the guys, they got to have the attitude. They got to have the moxie because, look, to be honest with you, the ball might come his way 8 times a game if he's lucky, especially with the talent that Texas has. Him, Xavier Worthy. If Jordan Whittington decides to come back, if Nayer is healthy, Texas is Red. He's also there. Thompson, who's a speed guy as well. If everything comes into place, this is going to be a very, very good wide receiver room. Texas only got 2 in this cycle because we're looking at possibly getting DeAndre Moore, yesterday, but he did not commit yesterday, for whatever reason. But Texas got 2. This is going to be one of those positions I think Texas is going to look at filling in the transfer portal as well, because we only got 2. I'm going to skip Muhammad and I'm going to go down to Ryan Niblett because we're talking about wide receivers. Ryan Niblett's one of those guys also. You look at him, you look at Jonte Cook, both around the same size, 5'11", 6 foot, 170 pounds, or so. Ryan Niblett being the number 73rd ranked player here in the country, the number 12th ranked wide receiver in the country, and the number 14th ranked player in the state of Texas. Another guy who's an amazing athlete, very fast guy as well. Same thing with Jonte Cook. I think Niblett's more of a speedster, very close to what Brennan Thompson was. Brennan Thompson's on a whole nother level of speed. I think a 10.2. I think Niblett was a 10.46, 10.47 kind of guy. So a lot of speed here in this team. You're seeing the kind of players that Steve Sarkisian wants. He wants guys that when the ball's in their hands, they can go make plays. After the catch. Right? How many yards are they going to get after the catch? And that's what Steve Sarkisian wants, is to make sure that they got explosive guys all over the field. So you got a Ryan Niblett, you got a Jonte Cook, you got a Brennan Thompson, you got a Savion Red, you got an Xavier Worthy, a Nayer. These guys, Nayer, Jordan Whittington, if he decides to come back, these guys are guys who are explosive. They are athletic, and they're going to be able to make plays and not just catch a ball for a first down and fall down. These guys, when they get the ball in their hands, they're looking to turn up and turn a 10-yard catch into a 50-yard catch. And that's what we got in the 2 wide receiver commits that we have here in this class. Now, what I will say is we don't have that guy who can go up there and maul somebody and get the ball. Is Nayer that guy? We don't know. We haven't seen him healthy. So does Texas look in the portal and get a bigger body wide receiver? Something to actually look at. Somebody who can go get that ball, like a Jaden Greathouse, who actually went over to a Notre Dame. But yeah, I skipped Malik Muhammad out of the out of South Oak Cliff. One of the best cover corners here in the state and in the country, actually. Number 46 ranked player here in the country, number 5th ranked cornerback in the country, number 7th ranked player in the state of Texas, 2-time state champion at the 5A level with SOC. Everybody wanted this kid. Nick Saban wanted him bad. He personally made it his mission to try to get this kid to come to, Bama. So Texas got this young man here on campus. Couldn't be more excited about getting, him. I'm gonna call him Double M. Malik Muhammad being one of those guys, long rangey guy, 5'11", 180 pounds, plays bigger than that because he has a long wingspan, folks. And this is one of those guys that Texas needed. We needed some more cover corners here in this class. We only got 1 true corner, I think, in this class with Muhammad, but we did get somebody also in the transfer portal. We'll talk about that later. But this is one of those positions where it's going to be a lot of open competition. Texas is bringing back Ryan Watts. We're losing Deshaun Jamison. However, we got a Terrence Brooks. We lost Johnson. He is gone now as well. We're kind of thin at cornerback, folks. We are kind of thin at cornerback. I think we got Bryce is playing cornerback this year as well. He came in as an athlete that flipped from Oklahoma last year. But we're kind of thin. We got Barron. Barron's a good nickel. But yeah, Malik Muhammad was a definite need. This was a necessity, and to be able to get one of the top guys in the country to basically stay home, stay in Texas. Dallas, South Oak Cliff is not that far from Austin, about a 3-hour drive. Parents can come see him play every weekend. awesome pickup for Texas. We talked about Niblett already. Let's go down to the edges and the linebackers, folks. And we got a lot of them that are kind of filling in this. So last year, we got a lot in the edges. We got Justice Finkley. We got Tab. We got some defensive linemen like Swanson. We got Bledsoe and Aaron Bryant and Chris Ross. We got a lot across the defensive line last year. But to get a guy who is from Austin Westlake per se, 6'6", 225 kid, and Colton Vasek, and they actually flip him, number 15th ranked player for his position in the country, number 89th ranked player here in the country, number 17th ranked player here in the state, to flip him from Oklahoma back to Texas, where he should have been, because his dad here is a Texas ex as well, was just truly amazing. You get to pair him with his homeboy Ethan Burke, and I think he saw Ethan Burke play some this year and saw how they use Ethan Burke all over the place. They put him on the edge. They had him at linebacker. They had him playing zero technique in some plays. He was all over the field. So for him to see one of his best friends that he can see himself playing opposite of, truly amazing to get him back in the fold in this class. Colton Vasek, he's a winner too. Played a lot of ball at Westlake at the highest level, always in the playoffs and in championship games. And that's a trend that you're seeing here at Texas with guys who are born winners, guys who have won their whole life. And that's the kind of culture that you want to bring here to Texas. So getting an edge like Vasek is outstanding. Next guy, folks, Tassili Akana. Out of Hawaii, Sky Ridge, really good friends with a guy that we're going to talk about here, LaFau, right? But oh man, Akana, his sister plays volleyball here at Texas, if you guys didn't know that. But he's the number one player in the state of Hawaii, number 17th ranked player in the country when it comes to being an edge. Some people have him listed as a linebacker, some as an edge. I see him as a pass rushing specialist. So I have him kind of grouped in that edge position. So him and Vasek being edges. But a guy who's mean. He's mean and he's fast, and you got to love it. Has some attitude about him. I saw this video yesterday with him actually committing to Texas. He just looks like a very nice kid, sweet kid. When you turn that film on, he's a beast. He's a monster. Go take a look at the video that I did yesterday, and you're going to see violent player. He doesn't play around. He puts helmet on you 24/7. So excited about getting a guy like Akana in this class. Next player that we're going to talk about, folks, is Darian Gillette. He's coming off an ACL injury, but he's from Marlin, Texas. Teague High School, number 136th ranked player in the country, number 21st ranked edge. So a lot of people have him grouped in as a linebacker as well. I have him as an edge as well, 6'3", 225, a guy is a sack specialist as well. One of the most physically talented, I'm going to say freaks in this class, man. He is amazing. I mean, the guy can play basketball very well, off the edge really well, as a edge rusher. Played linebacker in high school, played everywhere in high school. He's just that good. Came from a small school around, I think the school was a 2A, school, but he tore his knee. Texas stood by him the whole time when he was injured. He commits to Texas and hasn't wavered since. Signed in yesterday to come to Texas. Another guy who's going to be an early enrollee as well, but it's probably just going to be rehabbing that knee. But one of the most freakish athletes you're going to see here in this class, and when he comes back healthy, oh my, it's going to be something to look at. Darian Gillette, folks, remember that name. But Texas got 3 good edges here. Very excited about that. Next person on the list, folks, is Jaden Chapman. Jaden Chapman out of Harker Heights. I did an interview with Jaden. Very good, young man. Great family. He's from Harker Heights, Texas, which is right next to Killeen. I went to high school in Killeen, at Ellison High School, Mean Green. So shout out to them Eagles, but Jaden Chapman played tackle, in a high school, 6'4", 300-pound guy, 4-star recruit, wanted by everybody, in the country. Oklahoma wanted him as well, pretty bad too as well. We end up getting Jaden Chapman. He's the highest ranked offensive lineman here in this class. And he's a guy that can push for 2 deep pretty quick. I mean, he has that kind of talent, whether it's across tackle to guard, but he has that kind of talent, and he's probably more physically ready, just from the standpoint of being very technically sound. You can tell he's been coached very well. And Harker Heights always has a good team. They were a good team when I was in high school. I had friends that went there, rest in peace, Torrin Washington, that played there. Actually got some offers too. But but Jaden Chapman is going to be probably the most physically ready offensive lineman in this class. that can come in and be in that two deep this upcoming year. But I want to say a little bit more about the offensive linemen. Last year, Texas took 7 offensive linemen, folks. When I talk about a complementary class, the 2023 class this year for offensive linemen is very complementary to what we took last year. Last year, we took a lot of bodies, 7 guys. 5 of those 7 were highly ranked. You're getting a Kelvin Banks Jr., who started immediately. Cole Hudson started immediately. DJ Campbell is going to be in high competition to play a lot this year. Cam Williams out of Duncanville is probably going to maybe take that right tackle spot if Christian Jones leaves. So you're getting a lot of high-end talent last year. This year, you're going to get a lot of folks who, I'm not going to say projects, but they're guys that have the size, the height, the body mass that this coaching staff and Coach Flood wants, so that they can sit them, let them mature in the process, and not play these guys early. That's what Texas has been a problem with, is playing guys as freshmen who weren't ready to play yet. And we've had to force them out there because they were our saviors. We're not having to do that because we took a great line class last year, and then you complement that with 4 offensive linemen this year, or I'm sorry, 5 offensive linemen this year who don't have to play right away. You can let them build their strength in the strength conditioning program and do their thing, mature as a player, let their bodies mature, and then come ready that second or third year to truly compete for a starting position here at Texas. But Jaden Chapman is probably the most college-ready bodied kid, young man here in this class to come in and compete for a 2D position on the offensive line. Really, really good young man too. Had a great interview with him. Great family as well. Like I said, Harker Heights High School. I think their season ended this year going against DeSoto and against Jonathan Cook, who's also a champion too. But yeah, really good team there at Harker Heights. Great coach team, and just a great, great young man all around. Next guy we're going to talk about is probably my favorite player here, I think, in this class, based upon need. And that is getting Sadir Mitchell out of New Jersey. 6'5", 345-pound young man. Don't look at the rankings on this one, folks. This is a guy who every SEC team wanted, including Georgia wanted. This is probably Georgia's #1 defensive lineman. Don't look at the rankings of the folks that they have committed. I'm telling you, this is one of the defensive linemen that that Georgia, who's probably has a great shot at winning the championship again this year, wanted. They looked at this guy as a plug and play to replace Jordan Davis, who's playing for the Eagles right now. Sadir Mitchell's he's a big dude, man. We saw him, me, Texas Homer, Steven, Lando, from the Lando show as well. We saw him at the Texas OU game. We went and talked to him. Really good young man, good parents too, man. So just good to see this team going to get high character kids, but high character kids that can ball too. Sadir Mitchell, guys, go watch some of his film. He has some film this year where he took a fumble back to the house for a touchdown. And big guy shouldn't be moving that damn fast, man. He's fast and he's fun to watch, man. Texas needed this pickup here for the interior defensive line because we are losing Coburn this year. But Texas is kind of stacked in the interior defensive line. So, we got Sweat coming back this year. We have Byron Murphy, Alfred Collins, Broughton. Those are your interior defensive line that are going to shuffle and interchange with each other throughout the game. But Sadir Mitchell is one of those guys who he's an early guy too. He's coming in here in January. It's one of those guys that is going to be a guy who's going to be competing for time just from sheer mass alone. Can you imagine putting a 6'5", 345-pound guy on one side of the center and putting Trevante Sweat on the other side of the center and saying, who are you guys going to block? There's going to be a double on one of these guys. It might be a double on both just because of their sheer mass and their high motor, and which Sadir Mitchell has a very high motor. Love his game too. And like I said, we talked to him. Very humble guy, man. Family was very, very nice as well. So shout out to Sadir Mitchell and his family. I think it's going to be an instant impact player. I'm not going to say it's going to get a ton of snaps, but I'm telling you, 12 to 18 snaps a game is what you're going to see him play in his first year at Texas. Don't be surprised if that happens. He is that talented, and he has the body already made to step in and do great things in PK's defense. And that's what PK's defense has been missing, folks. Those true interior defensive linemen. And we were able to see him get Coburn up to speed and have Coburn be a very good draftable player this year. We're losing Ojimo as well, folks. So, I mean, we got somebody who can come in and take a few of those snaps that those guys were taking last year. But also PK getting a guy like Sweat to come in and do his thing as well and having a great season, who's also a draftable player this year, but he's coming back. So these are the kind of players that he likes here on his team, especially at that defensive tackle position. We're getting a guy like Sadir Mitchell, 6'5", 345 pounds, and just a great athlete. Next person on the list, folks, is Samaje Burrell, one of my favorite players in this class. Instinctual linebacker, 6 foot. He said in his live chat on Twitter yesterday, he's up to about 225 pounds. This is a very athletic guy too, man. He's doing backflips all over the field. I mean, you're 6 foot, 6'1", 225. You shouldn't be able to do that easily. I saw him doing it. Backflips with some of the cheerleaders basically in uniform. I mean, he was in pads and everything. So Samaje Burrell. You line up him. I'm telling you, folks, over the next couple of years, you're having him, the next guy that we're going to talk about, LaFau, Anthony Hill Jr., right? I mean, we're in a great spot at the linebacker position here. Gotta love it. Samaje Burrell, instinctual linebacker, has been playing linebacker pretty much his whole life, so you don't have to convert him over to where he has to understand how to play linebacker. You look at a guy like Jaden Ford, who's kind of plug and play when he came in because he's played linebacker his whole life. And there's one thing that we had to worry about when we had Overshawn, because we were moving him down from safety down to linebacker. And so when you're moving from safety to linebacker, he has to learn how to play linebacker. He has to use that off season. And he was hurt a couple of those off seasons. So he didn't really get to shine until he had a full offseason, which was last offseason. And we saw him do great things this year at the linebacker position. Guys like Anthony Hill, Samaje Burrell, Leona LaFau, these guys have played linebacker pretty much their whole life. So they don't have to worry about that. They know how to thump. They know the position. They have the instincts for the position. And you're not going to have to teach them that. It's plug and play. Let these guys have the speed of the game come to them. They're going to do great things. Very excited about this linebacker class, which leads me to the next guy, Leona LaFau from Hawaii, also best friends with Takana, who just committed yesterday. He is a beast as well. Really, really, really good player. Violent player. 6'1", 211 pounds is what they have him listed at. I thought I saw something closer to, he was almost 220, 215, 220 range. But he's another guy that's a thumper, just like Akana. These guys hit. They're really good in coverage. They played a lot of spread down in Hawaii. And I wasn't anticipating that either. I thought they were just going to ground and pound, but honestly, I should have thought about that more because Hawaii, the college, is one of those teams that has consistently, brought in players from that state to play, and they play a wide open offense as well. So he's really good in coverage, which I was very surprised at. Just go check his film out. But him, Samaje Burrell, Anthony Hill, we complemented what we didn't get last year. Only getting one true linebacker in Johnson last year, so Travell Johnson, only getting him. Now to complement that with Hill, Samaje Burrell, LaFau, Akana, Darian Gillette, if you want to count those two as linebackers as well. Awesome. Jeff Choate did his thing here this year for recruiting. Give that man some props. He might have the opportunity to be one of the it might be the Big 12 recruiter of the year. Just looking at this haul that he got at the linebacker position. But I won't spend too much more time on the linebackers. I've kind of stressed how important that was. Next, we're going to go down to Peyton Kirkland, folks. Peyton Kirkland out of Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando, Florida. Another big offensive lineman, 6'5", 355-pound tackle, who can play tackle and guard, but I mean he's a right tackle, left tackle. I mean he has the footwork too. For a guy that big, I was worried about is his feet quick, right? Does he have good footwork? Man, he has really good footwork. He can play tackle all day long. So, but the good thing about it, folks, is he is coming after we stacked the class in 2022. So he's not going to be expected to come in and play right away. Let this guy mature in the program like we let Cam Williams mature. And I think we're going to see some great things out of Cam Williams this year because we didn't have to force him to play. A lot of guys aren't going to be Kelvin Banks Jr., where they're instant coming in the summertime and plug and play. And he's played at an All-American level pretty much the whole season. Those guys are freaks. Those are the exceptions, not the rules. I'm not saying guys like Peyton Kirkland and the next guy that we're going to talk about here, Trevor Gooseby and Connor Stroh, couldn't do that if they were asked to do it. But you don't want them to have to do that because they are freshmen. They're going to be true freshmen. And these guys are coming in early. So let them get in that weight room in spring ball, get some snaps in spring practice, let their bodies mature in the summer as well, and compete for a 2-deep position in the fall with the expectation to not have to play. Let these guys, let the game speed come to them. But Peyton Kirkland, love it. Love it, love it, love it. A lot of teams wanted him just for sheer size alone. And we're going to start seeing in these next few offensive linemen just the kind of guys that Cal Flood likes. Big humans, 6'5", 355 pounds, a big human. And Texas got a good one here with Peyton Kirkland. Next guy we're going to talk about, folks, is Billy Walton coming from South Oak Cliff. 6'2.5", 215-pound edge. He is a really good player as well, a 2-time champion, a lot more physical this year, which you love to see. Teams tested him this year too, because I think the word out on Billy Walton last year was he could rush the pass really well, but could he stand up against the run and was he tough enough? Oh, he's tough. Go turn on the film. Go watch the playoffs this year. Billy Walton is tough as nails. He's one of those guys. I think he was committed to Oklahoma State at first, but he's one of those guys, folks, that goes to a program like Oklahoma State or goes to a Texas Tech, goes to a Baylor, and you're like, why didn't we recruit this guy? But I'm glad we did, and we got his commitment here at Texas because, like I said, he's tough as nails. He's mean on the field, and he's just a good player, man. He's just a really good player. And he's going to be one of those guys that we're at an embarrassment of riches at edge right now. He's not going to be asked to come in and play right away with the class we got last year as well, with the Justice Finkleys and the Jamon Taps and the Ethan Burks, right? And even some of the players who might be a little bit more ready-made to play this year, maybe like a Colton Vasek or a Kana playing the edge as well. But Billy Walton, man, he's going to surprise some folks. Very strong guy, very mean and physical guy, and a great pass rusher. Even if you got to play him a couple snaps, maybe 5 to 10 snaps, just go rush the passer on 3rd and longs because he has that kind of ability. Love his game. Like I said, 2-time state champion. That means a lot, folks, when you have a 2-time state champion because these guys know how to win. And when they come into that locker room, they're not going to want to lose. They're not going to want to lose because they've been winning their whole lives. And that's how you flip the culture of a locker room. And I love it. I love the pickup by Billy Walton. I did a video on him as well. And just an awesome player. Glad Texas got him. Next player, folks, is Trevor Gooseby. I actually interviewed Trevor Gooseby in my Big Humans episodes. Trevor's a 6'6", 280-pound, young man here, offensive tackle out of Melissa, Texas. His dad had a cup of coffee in the league, so he understands this whole process. So Trevor Gooseby, I think he's the only offensive lineman who's not coming in early, but no sweat. Trevor Gooseby is going to be one of those projects at tackle. Very physical guy too as well. Very athletic guy. You go see videos of him doing 360 windmills and tomahawk dunks. He's a very athletic 6'6" guy. I think he was like 6'6", 220 something his junior year or something like that. And he gained a lot of weight. He became a monster at 6'6", 280. So he's going to be one of those guys. He has long arms, very good footwork. Cal Flood's going to work with him. You can see him, possibly getting up to the 300, 310-pound range with that same footwork, with the long arms. And you're going to see this guy about year 3 be somebody who's going to really compete for a tackle position, whether it's right tackle or left tackle. And he's going to be I think, a really good player here in this class. He's not coming in early, but no sweat because, like I said, complimentary classes here. You're able to get a guy like Trevor Gooseby because you know that you can develop him. You know that you can put him in a weight room. You can mature his body because you don't have to count on him starting at tackles anytime soon because you got Kelvin Banks Jr., you got DJ Campbell who could possibly compete for that right tackle position. You got Cam Williams, who's definitely going to compete for that right tackle position. You got a lot of folks, Agbo, Nato, You got folks here, folks. So now you got the opportunity to have guys like Trevor Gooseby. And the next guy we're going to talk about, Connor Stroh. We got guys that you can let them sit in the process, get in the weight room, and do their thing. Connor Stroh's another guy I absolutely love. 6'7", 350 pounds. I think Connor's actually a little bit less weight than that now. Coming back off an injury, he had gained a lot of weight. You can tell he shed a lot of that weight late, as of lately. I actually interviewed Connor. Very, very good young man as well, out of Wakeland, high school, out of Frisco, Texas. Another big guy. His parents were Aggies. So he said that when he came to Texas, he understood this is where he wanted to be. And yeah, we got a good one here at Connor. I always joke with Connor. I tell him all the time that I'm the president of his, his fan club. I was kind of, like singing his praises for over a year now, prior to him actually committing to Texas. And yeah, I love Connor Stroh's game. I see Connor all over the line too, whether it's tackle, whether it's guard. But another one of those guys, you're seeing what you're seeing in what Cal Flood likes. Big guys, 6'7", 350. You saw Peyton Kirkland, 6'5", 355. You're going to see another guy in Andre Kojo, who's a big guy, 6'6", 345. But let's talk about Connor here. Connor's one of those guys too. He's coming in early, and he's a mauler. Once he gets his hands on you, you're not going anywhere. And I want you guys to think about this. Over the next 2 to 3 years, could you imagine an offensive line that has a Connor Stroh on there at 350, a Peyton Kirkland at 350, and Andre Kojo at 345, 350, okay? Then you have a guy like Trevor Gooseby, who's going to be a tackle, and he's coming in at, let's say, 310 once he puts his weight on. You're not going to be able to move these guys backwards just from sheer mass alone. So in the run game alone, these guys are going to be hell on wheels because you're not going to move them. And so you're seeing what Texas is doing with this offensive line recruiting, bringing in big guys because they're getting ready to go into the SEC and do their thing in the SEC. You got to love Big Stroh here. He's my guy, man. Love his game. One of my favorite players here in the class as well. And like I said, I'm the president of the Connor Stroh fan club, folks. So you're not taking that from me. I am accepting applications for vice president, though. That's my guy right there. Shout out to Connor. Next guy, man, is Trey Wisner. 5'11", 185-pound running back who played all over the field, for DeSoto High. State champion as well. Probably one of the MVPs of that game, I think. He had 200 and something total yards in that game, catching the ball at the backfield, going into the slot, catching the ball. A lot of people gave him a lot of hell because in the season here with DeSoto, they leaned more heavily on their sophomore running back this year. Ridden, I think is his name. But Trey Wisner, don't get it twisted. He was still in the field a lot. Punt returns, kickoff returns, slot, running back. And when he got in, he made plays, folks. And so that's all you want to. You want to know that you got guys who are making plays. And so, look, it's football. Sometimes you got to ride the hot hand. And maybe that guy was the hot hand, as probably was. They ended up winning the state championship. But Trey Wisner was an integral part to that state championship team as well. Like I said, he is one of those most versatile players you're going to see here in this class who can play running back, can play slot, can play some field, when it comes to the wide receiver. He's a good prospect, really good player. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this staff move him around a lot. Very good compliment to a Cedric Baxter, right? Trey Wisner, once he gets his hands on the ball, you can see he's a guy with speed. He's very fast. Once he gets in the open field, lights out. You're not catching him. Nice size to him, too, as well, at 5'11", 185 pounds. So you got to think about this. At the college level, he'll probably get up to about 205. It's going to be a nice size, good player that can play all over the place. And you know how Sark likes to use his running backs. He likes to put him in the backfield, but he likes to split him out, put him in the slot as well. Trey Wisner fits that mold just perfect. How many times we've seen Bijan go from 11 personnel, and then he motions out of the backfield, and now we're empty, and he goes out there and does his thing and catches the ball. That's the kind of talent Trey Wisner. I'm not saying he's Bijan. I'm not saying that, folks. What I'm saying is he has the talents where he can go out and play wide receiver and do great things in the field wherever you place him. Love this pickup, too, by Texas. Hey, he's a winner. He's a winner, and he's a really good player. Next guy on the list, folks, is Spencer Shannon. Spencer Shannon, tight end out of Mater Dei. 6'7", 230-pound tight end. I think he's more of an inland tight end. He's going to be one of those guys who's a really good blocker. They didn't use him too much in the passing game. Well, I shouldn't say too much. They use him, but not like what we saw with guys like Sanders when he split out primarily at wide receiver when he was in high school and he just mossed everybody. Spencer Shannon has the talent though. He can do some really good things in the blocking game. Also can catch very well, also. But these guys that are playing tight end, him and Will Randall, which Will Randall is hurt. We'll talk about him in a minute. I think he tore his ACL by midway through the season. But we're a little thin in in that tight end room. So having a guy like Spencer Shannon come in, he's going to do really good things here at Texas as well at tight end. All right, next person on the list, folks, is going to be Andre Kojo. I had the pleasure of actually interviewing Andre Kojo, 6'6", 345 pounds. So you're seeing this trend here again. Cal Flood likes big offensive linemen. So he's a young guy too. I think Andre's only 17 years old. And he's going to be 17 when he gets here on campus too next month because he is an early enrollee as well. You got to love Andre Kojo. Is just a very nice guy. I mean, very nice guy. But you see him on that field. I think he made out of the offensive lineman this year probably the biggest jump. Right? He had probably the biggest jump as far as his preparation, and we should probably expect that because he was the youngest. So as his body matures as well, I think he's 6'6", 345. I think when they interviewed him, he was 16 years old at the time. So he's a guy that's 17 years old. It's going to come into a program, and look, he's a big human. And Texas is in a really good position here when it comes to offensive linemen because these are guys that they can put in that pressure cooker, let them sit, let them slow cook for a while, and not have to worry about them having to come in and play. This is not the days where we were counting on guys like Connor Williams to come in and play as a freshman, Sam Cosman to come in and play as a freshman. We had to force guys to come in and play. We don't have that problem anymore. Now it's the opportunity to let these guys be prospects, come in and train really well and be ready to play when need be. Next guy on the list, folks, is Will Randall, tight end out of Isidore Newman. He's the teammate of Arch Manning, one of the top players in the state of Louisiana, the number 38th ranked player here in the state of Louisiana. But yeah, he just tore his ACL this year, but he is a pass catching not wide receiver, a pass catching tight end, already at 6'3", 225. But he has to rehab. He's going to be an early enrollee as well, but I think that's pretty much just to rehab that knee, let him get in this process as well. But Texas picked up two good tight ends in the cycle with him and Spencer Shannon. And then we got two guys in the portal, folks. Gavin Holmes, awesome pickup by Texas. This is one I'm really excited about it. Gavin Holmes being 5'11", 180 pounds, playing at Wake Forest, who's won a lot of games at Wake Forest. We're losing Deshaun Jameson. So Gavin Holmes is a guy who has 2 years left to play due to the COVID year, played 3 years already, but has 2 years. And this might be a guy that you can plug and play in the position that was held by Jameson, or he comes in and competes against the likes of Terrence Brooks, Muhammad, opposite of Ryan Watts, because I think everybody knows Ryan Watts is going to be playing this year. Again. So I love this pickup because we need depth at cornerback. We need bodies at cornerback, and he's one of those guys that can fulfill that role. And then the last person, we lost our punter. Now we got Ryan Sanborn, punter out of Stanford. One of the top 3 punters, I think, in the country when he came out of high school a couple years ago. Actually 3 years ago. I think he has 1 year left to actually punt. He is a graduate transfer, so 1 year to play. But yes, getting a guy like him who was a pretty good punter at Stanford at a Power 5, getting him here on campus, which is great because we lost our punter. But yeah, we are short up the room there. Now, folks, positions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Positions that I think Texas is probably going to try to target here. Probably wide receiver. Probably going to target wide receiver here, folks, because we got to get some wide receiver depth in the portal and more defensive back depth, whether it's safety, whether it's cornerback. But Texas had an outstanding day. 21 commitments signed, early signing day, 21 out of 21. Sark said that we weren't finished yesterday as well. So we'll see what happens today. But I'm excited about it. Just a recap of the class. National Signing Day 1 is in the books. Next signing day is in February, folks. But enjoy the National Signing Day. Great to get everybody in the fold here. Texas is building something. I think the players see it. I think the fans see it. I think the country sees it. 5-7 last year to 8-4 this year, and just build upon that. Let's get better each year. If we keep getting better each year, stack talent like we did last year and this year, we're in a great position. But on that note, folks, man, I tell you guys, do you, like I always tell you, don't be afraid to fail. Outgrow your environment, understand your brilliance. Ninos Corner, I'm out, and hook 'em. Horns always up.